jump on the whole TikTok vibe, just because I felt like all I saw was kids dancing, and I'm like, I don't know how to dance. And then I
Yeah.
started seeing business people on there. I'm like, I'm gonna give it a try.
Yeah, hey, I always joke. I'm gonna let a couple people join in, and then we'll get into it. But
Yeah,
I always joke with people with TikTok because everybody says the same thing, right? They're like, and for myself, I knew really about TikTok probably a year and a half before, and I waited to get on because I'm like, it's all little kids, and then I just Gary V and everybody talking about it, and I was like,
yeah,
I'm gonna actually try it, and then like my first video like got like 5,000 views, which was insane because like Instagram
yeah,
algorithm is trash really.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
unless you're spending money on ads, which is what they want it to be like.
Yeah, yeah,
With TikTok, it's so organic. And to be honest, my man, my girl and I talk about this a lot. I have learned more stuff on TikTok, whether it be life hacks or business stuff,
yeah,
than anything like because we just had a baby, so many baby hacks, like crazy.
yeah, yeah,
So it has something for everybody. And so, I've been following you for a while. I can usually tell pretty quickly the movers and the shakers, those are actually doing the business.
yeah,
And so that's why, I wanted to this is the first time we've really got to talk. So I get to know you as well. But,
yeah.
could you introduce yourself to the people and tell, who you are and a little bit about what you do, and then we'll get into your story?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Omar Triana. I was born and raised in the DFW Dallas area. I own several companies, but my main passion, my bread and butter, is Voyage Mobile Home Sales and Transport. We pretty much transport mobile homes, sell mobile homes, anything that has to do with mobile homes. As far as we have rentals, we have some that are finance. Anything that has to do with mobile homes is what I do.
Is what you specialize in. No, that's beautiful. And like I'm always curious how you got to this point. What did you do before business, or have you just always been in business? And like what were your first couple businesses, and then like how did you get into real estate in general?
So I've been started in business since I was young with my stepmother. So she sold
Okay.
tamales. A lot of people love
That's
tamales,
fun.
and so that's
I
where I
love them.
got my first introduction in business, selling door to door. A lot of my friends knew I sold tamales, selling tamales outside of stores. So ever since I was young, the neighborhood of Oak Cliff, because that's where primarily I'm from, started to get to know me, and so they knew me as a tamale guy. I didn't really have the greatest experience in high school because you get bullied, for what you do sometimes. So,
Yeah.
but I was proud because I know it was helping my family pay the bills. So I loved it. I loved the interaction with people. And then after that, well, I went off to college. It didn't really work out for me. I did 2 years and then kind of dropped out. And then I pursued the corporate job, because that's where people tell you where the
Mhm.
money, the good pay is at. And
Mhm.
so I tried having little businesses here and there, and being very straightforward. They weren't as successful just because I was getting my feet wet and actually running a business. As far
Mhm.
as the legalities of it, as far as having an actual business setup. And so the way I fell into mobile homes is funny because I wasn't even I knew about mobile homes, and I had that stereotype of how mobile homes are, that it's for these kind of people, and
Mhm.
so that's all I knew about mobile homes. But I ran a bit side business where I had a mechanic that knew how to work on Range Rovers and other foreign cars. And so I
Mhm.
met this lady, and this lady she had three Range Rovers, and she needed some service done to them. And so I pull up, and she starts talking to me about mobile homes because she lived in a mobile home park, and she owned two mobile homes in that park. And she said, "Hey, I'm trying to get rid of them. I'm trying to retire early. Any money I can get works for me. Can you help me sell them?" And so I got on it. I was just randomly telling people, "Hey, I'm having these mobile homes for sale." And I sold it to a guy who lived in the park who had bought some land. And I sold him fairly quick. I made really good money. And after that, I just took off.
No, that's beautiful. And a couple of things I just want to dive into
Yeah.
because I had a great high school experience per se, but I missed out on a lot of things because I wasn't, well, I was hustling a little bit, just it looked different. I had like two jobs, and then I would mow some yards or like do some work for my grandpa on the farm just to like get some extra money. But I
Yeah.
would just say when you go through high school and you know your friends are going to party and you're going to work, it sucks. But I'm sure, like me, you're very thankful for those experiences and
Oh yeah.
even college as well, right? Because I did college, man. It took me 5 years to get a 2-year degree, and I hated it. And then I
Wow.
realized it wasn't something I was passionate about. Like
Yeah.
I hated doing that, but when I found real estate, I've read more books and studied, right?
Yeah.
So I've been down these paths, I understand, and I wanted to do the corporate job. That was my end goal, and then maybe get into real estate later because that's what I was always told. But I definitely relate with that. So I think it's good too for people to see you going through all these seasons of your life because I think you would agree, right? Like they all served you to get to this point.
Oh yeah, man, 100% agree. I've learned to appreciate the process because I moved out of my parents' home really, really young, and the
Mhm.
typical slang that I hit the streets and my life wasn't going as planned. That's how you think. So I definitely appreciate the process and the construction jobs that I had and everything because now, as you may agree, now we value the position where we're at a lot more
Mhm.
and thank that process. And because of that, we really had to hustle it out. You know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. So you were just, I'm assuming, charging people a little extra with the mechanic doing the Range Rovers and foreign
Yeah,
cars.
yeah. So it's like if the job came out to I don't know $200, I was charging 300, for my fee, and so I
Yeah.
would let my mechanic give his own price, and I would tell him, hey, how much do you think this you should charge it? He would tell me, and I would never lowball him. I've always been about keeping my people happy. So if I'm
Mm.
making a little bit and he's happy with what he's making, that was good enough for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's another one of those lessons that's so important. So you met this lady, she sold you three. Can you walk through that deal? Maybe like obviously we know how you got the deal. You met this lady. It was an opportunity, right? Because you're doing all these things, you can recognize
Yeah,
opportunity. I think that's what's great about experience too, that we don't talk about is like when you do all these things, you figure out at least if you don't know what you want, you know what you don't want. And
yeah.
so by doing that, when an opportunity appears, you're like, okay, normally I would say no to things, but this actually looks like an opportunity. I think that's very important. So you met this lady, she had the mobile homes, and then what happened? Like, because I know obviously you got the deal done, but I'm sure you were a little nervous. This is something you hadn't done before.
Oh yeah, man. My head just went everywhere. I knew exactly like how you were saying. I knew there was opportunity there because she wanted $2,000 per mobile home.
Mm, yeah. No, that's crazy. Per home. So automatically that's gotta be yeah, yeah, you're good. So automatically that's gotta be a deal then.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, it was cutting off on my end a little bit. So yeah, and so whenever she told me that, for some reason, I knew I could make. I'm all about flipping. I'm all about if I can make money, and I know I can make money, I'm gonna make it. And
Yeah.
so I had put, and I was so not, I was so cool with the lady. So there wasn't that awkwardness, between a seller and a buyer there. She knew I was gonna flip them. She had no problem with me showing whatever I had to do. So that really, really eased out the process. So it was a lucky deal, if you want to say. So I found the buyer. He lived in that part, and he told me, "Hey, you're the guy selling those mobile homes." Now he didn't know the lady was selling them, but I told him, "Yeah, I'm the one who's selling them." And
Yeah.
so he's like, "Well, I bought some acres, and I'm looking for a mobile home because I'm gonna move all my family out there with me." And this was in the Corsicana area, and he could put up to 3 mobile homes on there. So this deal for him was perfect. So I sold him each mobile home for like $6,000. So I made $4,000 per mobile home. So 4 times 3, 12. I made $12,000 on that deal. And so now where I got stuck was the transport part of it. But again, this whole deal was just perfect because he knew a mover himself. He's like, "Oh no,
Oh,
you don't have to worry. I know a mover. He's moved mobile homes for my family. I'll just tell him how much he'll charge me." And so that was pretty much A through Z what had happened. And it was my typical, that really great, that really smooth deal. The lady got her money. That's all she was worried about, just whatever she can get to retire because she was going to retire in Mexico. So
oh, no.
that was great for her. And so she didn't even care how much money I made. I was really cool with the lady. She really, really liked me. So I was like, you know what? Whatever money you make, I don't care. You make your money. I just want $2,000 for every mobile home, per
Gotcha.
mobile home.
And so when he had it moved, then you didn't have to pay for anything. He paid for it himself,
Oh, he
or
paid for the transport. He found the
oh, that's
transport company. So he
yeah.
pretty much did the whole, almost all the work himself because You
Yeah.
know, whenever you have a good buyer, they're actually going to go out of their way to make sure they get that deal. And
Mm-hmm.
so he knew that at the time I wasn't even aware of prices, what was the market price for a mobile home. So now I know that I could have sold him for a little bit more, you know, but he
Yeah.
knew that he had a really good deal on his lap that he didn't want to let go.
That's yeah. And like you said, I mean, still your first deal, you pretty much got to hold hands with both people and it was an easy
Yeah.
process, right? You didn't have to
Yeah.
chase, they took care of the work. But I think opportunity, right? That's one of those things, we don't necessarily know how it works. We just know that if we put in the work, it'll happen, right? Like leads
Yeah.
come from everywhere. But that's beautiful. So, but that definitely made you aware of a new situation you have to deal with when dealing with the mobile homes is the transportation part.
Yeah.
So like what did you do after this deal then? And then like, what was your thought process? You just made 12,000. I'm sure you were like, I'm done with the mechanic or what?
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, to help him out, I was still pushing it, you know,
Mhm.
but I definitely knew. And then at the time, I had a really nice corporate job. So I knew that I wanted to do this part. Something in my head just told me, man, I made some really good money really quick. So
Yeah.
something told me, hey, I should devote my time to this. And so I just started researching, I started researching. I started, and I've always been the kind of guy who follows Gary Vee, who's always looking at business content. And like you and I, we're wired already when it comes down to business. So I
Mhm.
knew the first thing was first hitting Facebook and marketing myself. Hey, I buy mobile homes, right? And so whenever I did that, I started seeing that I was getting all these kind of scenarios in mobile homes. And so I knew quickly that the mobile home business it's like a real estate. You can go all kind of routes,
Oh
as
yeah.
far as you got to know exactly what you want, whether you want to buy one, fix it up and flip, whether you want to buy one or rent it out.
Mhm.
So I learned that fairly quickly, that the first opportunity that I had, it probably wasn't going to repeat itself like that.
Mhm.
So I knew that from the get-go that that's how it was going to go. And then yeah, I mean, from there I started seeing that some of these mobile home parks were being sold inside mobile home parks. I mean, some of these mobile homes were being sold inside parks. And so
Mhm.
I said, in real estate, you hit big numbers, right? As far as you buy a house, you need a big capital. If you're gonna fix it, you need a big capital. To whereas mobile homes, you don't need that big capital. You could buy a
Mhm.
mobile home inside a park fairly cheap. You could fix it up fairly cheap, and then you could just rent it. And so that's the category that I chose to go with.
Mhm. No, I think, and I, like I said, I've always been obsessed. Like I was telling you, when I first went to the seminar that like got me hooked into real estate, that's how I found out. Because I know me and you have never talked, but like I went to like a rich dad seminar, went through the pitch, bro. It was like 50 grand. I tried to do it, didn't work out. Biggest blessing
Wow.
ever.
Yeah.
But I found, like I was telling you, I found out about two things that weekend that really stood out to me, and that was wholesaling and mobile homes. And when I got back and me and my girl were like, you're amped up when you find out about this thing and you're so excited. And we would drive around mobile home parks and try to do it. And then I just kind of I found out more about wholesaling, was like, I think I'm going to go this way. But even me and my partner, we're still like, it's just a cheap asset class. And there's a lot of people that will pay cash, or you can own or finance them and not be a lot of money out of pocket. Like you said, just business sense, right? You buy them low, you can sell them for high or more than what you paid at least.
Yeah.
Um, and you're more likely to have somebody that has that mattress money or cash, right?
Yeah.
And they'll be more willing to put in sweat equity. So I think that's great. What did the next deal look like? And then when did you start realizing like maybe you need to keep some? Because you said you have some as rentals, correct?
Correct. So I will go towards, as we progress in the video, talk about the bigger picture. But my second deal, it went inside a mobile home park. And so this is where the flip part comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So this lady was selling her mobile home. So the way that I've realized that people, as far as Hispanic community go, is that we either start off with an apartment, then we go to a mobile home, and then we go to an actual house. And
Mm-hmm.
so once people are ready to take that second step and the third step and go to a house, then that's what to the people I knew where to market. And so this lady messaged me and she said, I'm selling this mobile home. It's inside a park. This is how much you pay in lot fees. It's going to need a lot of work, but this is how much I'm asking for. I didn't know how much the prices or the market was for a mobile home that can stay inside a park. So what I did was that you hit Facebook Marketplace. It doesn't take a genius to realize that. To look at the market, just look at what your market is telling you through Zillow if you're in houses, or a Facebook Marketplace for mobile homes. And then I started seeing, hey, these prices are fairly high. And so in mobile homes, you pay a premium, so to say, if the mobile home can stay inside the park and you don't have to move it. So the lady needed quick money. And I went out there, I met her, and I'm over here, like I'm a handyman and I don't really know crap about fixing stuff. But I knew the mobile home needed some work. And the lady was asking $7,000 for it. And I brought her down to $5,000. I said, look, lady, I'm going to do all this to the mobile home. I told her I was going to rent it out, but my purpose was to flip it. And I told her, if I'm going to rent it out, people are going to want to see that this home is just 5 stars, right? Because that's what people expect. She said, okay, I understand. I'll take $4,500. So
nice.
I
And
did.
she reached out. She, just to backtrack real quick, she came to you off of Facebook Marketplace as well.
That
she
is
just
correct.
Your ads.
Yeah, that is correct. I buy mobile homes. Pretty much that was it on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, I've done that with groups, right? I used to do, and then everybody started copying me, so I quit. But I actually bought 2 homes from just posting in groups that I buy homes. I'm looking to buy 5 this month, and you get a lot of tire kickers, you get spammed, whatever. But if you're consistent, that's what any marketing source works, and you're using a free tool. And I didn't even know you still had the corporate job. So you're a hustler like myself. So I love it.
Yeah.
And so you got her down to 4,500. Then what happened?
Yeah. So then what I did, I did ask for a little bit of time to pay her all the money. So me not having a clue, I just signed a bill of sale with her as a compromise that I am going to buy it. And then I didn't give her any money. So she felt that I was serious simply by signing that. But then, about 2 days had gone by and she's like, hey, I need half the money. And so I took that risk. I said, man, can I give you $2,000 to hold this? She said, yeah, I can do that, but I need some money in my hands. So I took that risk without even knowing if I'm even going to sell this thing, how things work. And so I paid her that $2,000. She held it. And so it turns out that I sold this home again, kind of like the first time, inside a mobile home park, a guy that lived inside the mobile home park. He was looking for a home for his mom because he wanted his mom to live close to him because he needed to take care of her. So I put a for sale sign in front of the mobile home. I told the lady, hey, I just got to do this because that way I could start having people, interested as soon as I'm selling it. I didn't tell her straightforward that I was going to flip it. But then I realized that she didn't really care. And I realized that sometimes in business, people only care about getting their money and getting paid. As far as the process.
Yeah, not to cut you off, but that's a beautiful point that I want to touch on. A lot of times we create problems that aren't there. I tell this with my business partner because I'm an overthinker, right? And when you're new, you just keep talking, right? You're just like, and sometimes the best thing to do is just shut the fuck up, right? Just hey, I'm gonna be buying the home. Boom. Okay, what do you do? What is your exit strategy? Oh, you must be asking for a reason, and then you find out why they're really asking, right?
Yeah.
But when you're new, you over talk a lot, right? And there's no need to dig that hole. Like they just, like you said, want to know that you're going to take care of their situation.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the biggest problem, that people overthink it. Oh my God, what if he's going to say? You got to realize that it don't matter how many YouTube videos that you see, every scenario that's going to fall in your lap is different. Not every sale is going to be the same. You and I both wish every time will be a smooth sale and I make my money and I call it a day. So you got to be ready for it when the time comes. And you got to be, the way you got to be wired is that you got to be a quick thinker. If somebody's going to ask you something, you got to know what to say, in the sense that you're going to provide a solution at the end of the day to their problem. They don't want to hear another guy with another problem. Oh, I'm going to take this long. I'm going to have to deal with all this. They just want a solution to the problem. So that's how I introduce myself to the lady. I'm here to fix your problem. You need some quick money because you're in a situation. I'm going to give it to you. Whatever happens in the back end, that's for me to worry about. The lady, all she cares about is getting paid, and she can care less about everything else. So I found the guy. I put that for sale sign. He called me like the next day. And I told him, hey, the home needs a lot of work. He said, I'm a handyman. I work in construction. I don't care. I just got to make sure that the home could stay in this park. And obviously it did. I told him, you're going to have to get, the next step is that they have to apply to the park and get approved by the park to live there, which was really easy because he's been living in that park for 10 years. And this home was in Rice, Texas. So it was in the outskirts of the DFW, where I learned as well that outskirts are a lot easier to work with than the city. Because obviously in real estate, the closer you are to the city, the more coding, permits, and all that BS. But the outskirts usually are less unrestricted. So it was an older mobile home. The mobile homes around that area were older as well, so there were no restrictions. So I sold him the home for, I believe it was like 9,500, and that was because, like I said, I went on Facebook Marketplace and I saw around that area these mobile homes were selling between 8 and 20,000, just depending on how the mobile home was. And so I just hit a number. I said, the market is gonna tell me if this number is too high or if it's too low. You're gonna start getting offers through the roof. But if it's medium, high, then you're gonna start seeing consistency of people calling you. So whenever I saw that that's what the mobile homes are selling for in that area, that's the number that I just put. And he didn't really even negotiate it, because I also learned that once you have a mobile home inside a park that could stay, people don't really negotiate that. You're paying the premium that this mobile home can stay inside that park.
Yeah. So it's like the cost of moving is already there, and it's probably going to be a little bit cheaper. You're not going to have to worry about anything breaking if it moves.
That is correct.
Gotcha.
And then people pay that premium for area. It's like in real estate. Every area has its different market cap. So the guy didn't even hesitate on the price. He said, let's do a deal. I'm really needing find a place for my mom. He paid me, and I had him meet in my office. So I had an office because of the job I had during the time. I was an administrator for a tree company. And so they gave me my own office. I was having clients meet in my office.
Hell yeah.
I was doing my work, and I didn't even think twice about it. I said, people want to maybe meet in an office, they'll feel a little comfortable. Yeah. And so that's what I did. And so he went to go see it. And I asked for a key from the lady. I didn't even know how. I just, took the chance, and I said, I really doubt she's going to want to give me a key to her own house. But I asked her, I said, lady, you have to give me a key because I'm going to have to come in and see what I need to do. She gave me a key. And so I want to go show him the home with the key. So he thought the home was probably mine, or I don't know, but he trusted me from the start that I was in person showing him the home. And so as soon as I did that, he saw it. He said, man, don't worry about it. I'm going to do all this work. What's the lowest you'll take? And we agreed on 9,500. So I made about $5,000 on that deal.
Got you. And then I have a couple questions for myself. Would these be considered like straight assignments then? Or are you double closing them? Or how does it work with mobile homes? Like, are you going through a title company, or you can just file it with the county? Like, how does it work?
So the more local a mobile home is, so the more in the city that you are, the more procedures that there are, because your title company sort of say, it's the mobile home park, the management. So they're the ones that are going to make sure that your paperwork's in order, the bill of sale, everything as far as the legality of it. The more in the outskirts that you are, it's more like you say, it's more of an assignment. I mean, the manager there, 9 times out of 10, she's not really going to scrutinize anything. They're just worried about having their lot fees paid. The owners are getting a residual income off every lot fees that are paid, so they don't necessarily care about the mobile home. They care about the lot fees that you're paying.
Yeah, so you're solving all these problems though, and I think it's important too. What you said is like, so many times we try to figure out, like, people always, that's one of the biggest questions, like we were talking about. I teach a lot about wholesaling, and everybody's always like, well, how do I know how much I'm going to make, right? And from experience, I can tell you what we would, but just based off the numbers. But when you're new, when you throw a number out there, regardless, the market's going to tell you if you're right or wrong, or whatever it may be. So I think that's really important, because I think we spend a lot of times, it's like, you just took action, right? You didn't know these things. You just sign up, you told this lady I'm gonna sell it, and you got it done. I think that's like just so important. Like, you just took action full force.
Yeah, taking action. I mean, the problems or the situations that are going to arise, I mean, they're going to arise either way, whatever you do, whatever business you're in. And I realized a lot of things that, that popped up as I was progressing, and I learned a lot of things the hard way, but it's a price you pay. You really want that reward. You really want to be successful in this industry. You're going to have to pay those mistakes. There's no way around that. So I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
have a mentor early on that was teaching me these things. I was going along the way just myself.
Yeah, no, I think like you were talking about college, I just call it tuition, right? Like everybody's okay with paying like hundreds of thousands of dollars to like learn something that may or may not benefit them, but they
Yeah.
won't go be a mentor or go just take action and learn these lessons. And it's not like you're overexposing yourself where like you're going to lose your house. You're still working a corporate job. You were just using all the tools that you had available. So many people are like, well, when I get to this point, I'm going to do it. You're like, they gave me an office, pull up to the office. It's my shit. Like, what's up? Like you
Yeah.
just, you know what I mean? Like people like us, you just don't think, you just go. And
Yeah.
it can hurt you sometimes, right? Like it happens, but it's
Yeah.
also it's really to your benefit at the end of the day though, because you learn like, oh shit, I probably shouldn't do that again, right? Like
Yeah.
it's sweat equity and tuition. So I think that's really important. Another question that I have is because I've heard you have to be licensed to sell mobile homes, right? Do you have any type of licensing or where does that stand?
That is correct. I am licensed and bonded through the state to do what I do. Now, the licensing really falls in the transport part of it.
Okay.
Now, you have to be licensed if you're an independent contractor to sell the new mobile homes. Now, if you go and work at a dealership to start learning about the game, like you've seen the dealerships that are selling these brand new mobile homes,
Yeah.
they'll license you themselves. So
Okay.
I know they license you. Now you don't need a license as far as to sell mobile homes inside a park.
Okay.
So you do need a license to sell mobile homes that are gonna have to be moved, just because of all the liabilities. It don't
Guys.
matter if you're trying to flip or you're trying to make your money. You are gonna be held responsible if something doesn't go according to your plan. Because you got to think about it. It's a risk putting a whole mobile home on the road and expecting it to get from point A to point B, and your money is not guaranteed until
Mhm.
it gets to point B. You know what I mean? You got paid for it, but what if you never made it? Now you
Yeah.
have a mad client. So, and then all the legality of it. As far as taxes are the biggest thing in this industry. The tax paperwork, the on a mobile home has to be squared away, because the minute that you try to do a deal and the legality part of it is not covered, and you went ahead and proceeded and closed your deal, and then the county finds out that this is what you did, or one way or another they moved it. Now it's two county cities that found out that you moved a mobile home to another city, taxes weren't taken care of. That's probably the biggest thing that could cut your throat in this industry, because cities do not play around with taxes, right? We're in the USA. So
You're in
the
Texas,
state,
better
you're in
yet.
Texas, man. Everything's about taxes. So the minute that you mess around with taxes and taxes aren't paid, or anything related to the legality of it, then yeah, oh yeah, they're gonna fall really hard on you. So I learned some of that early on in the game, that the legality part of mobile home and whatever you're trying to do has to be squared away.
Gotcha. And you were talking about the bigger picture, which this may play into it. Is that when you got into moving them, or that just happened and then you got into buying them as rentals, or what did that look like?
Um, that kind of fell in my head whenever I started. You have to pay attention to your clients, to what they're doing whenever they buy.
Yeah.
So I started seeing that some of these clients that I had were investors, in the sense that they own land, and so they're buying these mobile homes. They have their own crews to fix them, and then they're just renting. They're renting on this piece of land, and they're having that rental payment pay the land. And so that's, for me, that's been my biggest project as far as where the money's at, kind of thing, because I learned this from what they were doing. I said,
Mm,
man, so they're buying the land or they're financing the land, and then they're putting mobile homes on there, and then they're just letting the flow of the rental pay, for the rent, for the land payment. And
mhm.
so I had that idea, and I said, man, let me. And then it's important to network, because you got to see who they're using, and you got to start seeing who your clients are using as far as for what service. They're using me to move it, and then that's where my money stops. But who are they using as far as who's selling them this land? You know, I wasn't really aware of how the land selling part of it worked. And so you just got to research, you know, if you really want to take care of something, if you really want to learn something nowadays, you could just YouTube or Google it. You can make a simple phone call to just any real estate group that sells land. And so that's what I started doing. And I learned a lot from. Now I see why this is what they're doing, because they want to own land, and everything out of pocket for them is just a down payment. They put the mobile home on there. That's their investment. They fix it up. And then every time the rent kicks in, they're using that money to pay for the land. It's not coming out of their pocket. And so I just mimic that process. If I'm already seeing it work for somebody else and they're really wealthy at that, why not I do the same? I mean, I know the ins and outs of this. They're having to pay me for this mobile home. So why not do the same?
Yeah, and you already better understand it. And I think it's so important what you said in a different way is like follow the money, right? Where is the money? Where did the money come from? And you're usually the middle person. And then where is it going? And I think same for us, right? That's how we got into doing more stuff is like, bro, we were wholesaling for like 2 years. And then I met my partner and we had some really good deals, but then we started really building a pipeline. And I remember this deal that we wholesaled and we were like, we probably should have kept that one. Like that probably would have been a good idea. And then there were a couple more and I was like, hey, we got to be, you know what I'm saying, more choosy. And then I sat down with a friend who had been doing this a little bit longer. And going back to like, you know, the stories we tell ourselves, in my mind, it was like, I'll start buying rentals in 5 years. I have no idea where this came from or like this idea. It's like the same thing as I was going to work this corporate job, right? I was going to do these things.
Yeah.
It's like stories that we tell ourselves for no reason. And he was like, well, why can't you buy rentals now? And like, I legit didn't have an answer. Like I was like stunned. It was so simple of a question, but I hadn't thought about it. And so like 4 months later, I bought a rental. So it was like, you know, once you think about it, you see where the money's going, you attack it. So like, were they just getting like lines of credit from the bank, or they're just getting financing from a small bank, or they're bringing in private money? Like where was the money going?
Honestly, on their end, all I knew was that they were financing pieces of land with no restriction to put a mobile home on there. Sometimes I would see that it was 1 to 3 people. But as far as where they were getting their money from, I honestly don't know. But I knew that was their game plan to have properties, to put mobile home, to rent. So, and what I realized was that was really, really profitable and not easy to do, but in the sense that a lot of people would much rather have be renting in a mobile home with property where you have space for your children to play, stuff like that, than continuing renting in a apartment, sort of say, you know. So they weren't really even having a hard time finding people to rent to in the outskirts, you know. I always thought, you know, man, you're all the way out there in the middle of nowhere. Who the heck's gonna want to go over there, you know?
Yeah.
And then I realized that people want to go over there because they have space, you know, they have privacy. So they weren't having a hard time at all doing that. And then I realized that I even added a service not so long ago to my company to what they were doing. So we'll talk about that later on if you want, but that's where I realized. And then after that, like I said, you know, I just mimic their game plan.
Gotcha. And then let's talk about like moving them, right? When did you start doing that? And, you know, what were some lessons? And have you ever had one fall apart while you're moving, or just something crazy happen?
Man, I could write a book on but I'm going to go over everything in a nutshell because that's one of the main questions I always get. So I realized that the most important part to the equation is the transport part of it. You can get mobile homes all day long, but if you do not get the transport equation part of it right, you're pretty much going to have a really, really hard time, or at least network with a co. I got into the transport part of it, I want to say about 2.5 to 3 years ago. And what I was doing was that I became really good friends with who I thought was moving the mobile homes. And so the big lesson for me learned in this was the type of people that you surround yourself with. Because may he rest in peace, you know, now. But back then, he was one of my initial mentors in the sense that he saw a lot of potential in me. And so he started using me in the sense that he knew I could bring deals and he had buyers, he had a lot of connections, but he wasn't moving these mobile homes like he had told me. And so I didn't know much about the transport part, so I just went based off his word. And so whenever he was getting paid this money for these moves, he was never moving these mobile homes. And so at the beginning he was, so that's why we had a good relationship. I don't know what happened later on down his road that he started burning bridges to where they weren't wanting to move his mobile homes no more. And so I had a lot of angry clients. I had a lot of moves that weren't being moved, and a lot of money down the drain that now I was going to be the one to pretty much report for that, because I was the face of the company, of my business.
Yeah.
It don't matter, who you use. If you're the one that's the face front, you're the one that's responsible. So I learned really on early in the game that transport part of it was key. And so I knew the only way to fix that was to take that initial expense and just do it myself. You know how sometimes you say that's better off I have to do it myself, just because the people around me weren't A plus. They weren't driven in the sense that they weren't all about their customer service like I was, or taking that as important as I was, because I was just another sell to them, another move. So they weren't going to take my moves as serious as I was. So then I decided to buy my truck. I then knew that I had to get licensed. And then from there, I just found a driver. And then from there, I just started doing my own moves. And learning the hard way, that in transportation, whether you're in the 18-wheeler business or mobile home transport or any transport, that maintenance fees are just going to be high. So I've just been learning that along the way, learning that you have to keep your driver happy, have to keep them with good pay. Now I have 3, so you got to keep 3 happy. You have to keep them consistent with work. And so pretty much I've learned, I'm glad that I learned this early on enough in the game to where now I know, but I wish I would have had the transport part of it noted down a lot earlier.
And so you said you have 3 now. You have 3 trucks as well and 3 drivers?
Correct.
Okay, got you. And you're just going to like the auction and buying these trucks? Like where do you even get a mobile home like moving truck? Like it's just a regular semi and they just put a different hookup, or what?
No, that's a good question. I actually found these 3 trucks. Well, no, I found 2 of them. And then I found them from a guy that was retiring. So I don't know if he was retiring just here locally or if he was going to go work in another state. The thing is, he was retiring here in, I believe it was Burleson, Texas. And so he was retiring. And so I had found the mobile homes on Craigslist the mobile home toter transport trucks on Craigslist. And he was selling them. I didn't know if it was like a good price or not, what he was selling them. So I was just telling the people in the mobile home business that move them, the guy that I had gotten a little cool with, hey, are these fairly priced or not? What do you think of them? So I just took the risk and bought them because I'm not the perfect mechanic either. So I just got a guy. You know how sometimes you can hire a mechanic from, like there was this transportation company where you could hire them to go check out a truck before you buy it.
Yeah, like a mobile mechanic. I asked, bro, because I almost bought an 18-wheeler back in June. And the week before I was supposed to close on it, the lady tried to change the deal and it fell apart. But my goal in the first 6 months is to get 1 to 2 trucks. So I'm actually very familiar with it. That's why I was just curious, because I know it's not all the way an 18-wheeler, but you still need some towing power. And it's like, I don't know people that just have those, but you came across somebody that did. How much did you end up paying? And then how did you get the 3rd truck?
So I paid $6,000 for one, and I paid about $8,000 for the other one.
Oh, so still not bad for something that can. How much do you make? How much do you usually make on a transport? Like if it wasn't your deal?
Oh, so if it wasn't, what do you mean if it?
Gotcha. So I'm assuming, are all the transportation, all the transportation are you doing? Is it solely for you, or are you doing it for yourself and other people?
So to elaborate on that, the way that it splits up is that, let's just say that a client is just hiring us to move a mobile home. So if it's a single wide, you're expected to pay anywhere between probably $2,500 and $3,500.
Oh, okay.
Just your basic as far as move goes. And so from there you have to pay maintenance, fuel, your driver. And so pretty much what you can expect to at least keep from that is at least probably 1,000 to 1,005 from that. So once you start subtracting all your fees, that's about how much you could take home per move.
Per move. Yeah.
Now, every move is different as far as every client needs a different kind of service. Some of them need those mobile home moves in their same, area of property. Some of them need to move 2 hours away. It's just that every move is different. So,
Gotcha. But my point being, though, you could do less than 10 moves and have your money back on one truck, worst case, though. So it's still, you're willing to take that risk and start moving. And then how did you get the third truck? Because you said he sold two, right?
yeah, he sold me two. And then the third one, I got it from a company who sold brand new mobile homes. And so they were the ones selling their toter. Now, this one I did buy for $12,000 because it was in pretty okay condition.
Newer, nice.
But a mobile home toter, I mean, some of these are highly, highly priced. Some of these can go up to $70,000. And so that one, I just bought it because the numbers made sense. It was worth it. It was worth it. They were asking for like 15, but I told them I was going to give them 12, and so they agreed. And so when I bought it, it was in a much better condition than the other two because these other two that I had, they're pretty on the older side. So I don't want to get as far as in depth with a lot of equipment, because I don't want to overthrow myself a lot of work than what my guys can handle, because at that point you're just stressing them out, and things aren't running the way they should. But this one can pretty much tackle any job as far as what I needed to tackle. It's a bigger toter, because you got to realize that sometimes the bigger the home, the bigger of a toter you're going to need. So you got to know what kind of toter you wanting to buy.
Gotcha. And then, like you said, it makes it more convenient when you have your own deals. Now you can move it, you can control it.
Exactly.
Because like you said, I'm sure you've had accidents happen. What would you say out of, like you said, you had a bunch of stories and I know how that goes. What would you say is like the craziest thing that's happened like in transportation of a mobile home?
Man, the craziest one, I believe, was about a year and a half ago. We were moving a triple wide.
Oh my God.
Triple wides are really heavy. Obviously, the name in itself, it's really big. It's bigger than a double wide mobile home. And a triple wide is slightly even bigger than that. So I knew that I had the truck for it. And so I came into this transport part to move this triple wide with another friend who moves mobile homes. And so he helped me out. And it turned out that both of us just was dealing with this headache because the triple wide turned out to have that metal frame, and it was like double frame from the bottom for some reason. I don't know if it was the brand. I don't know if it was the way it was modified by the people that were living there. But a lot of things you do not know until you're just there moving it.
Yeah.
Unhooking, the mobile home and unleveling it. And then you start realizing once you're on the road, man, this is probably what's going to happen. There's no way in the transfer part of it to just know out of the blue or just from seeing it. You can know the basics, but just the little small stuff that could really hurt, until you get on the road. And so this mobile home started bending from the frame, and it started damaging the front of the home. And this triple wide was about $45,000 triple wide that if we damaged, I mean, somebody was going to be really, really unhappy. And so it did get a little damage from the frame from the front. It damaged my truck for sure. And we did not just expect that much weight, to be carried on that mobile home. And so we were hit financially hard with that, just because we damaged the face front of that home. So we had the bond was the one who responded, our bond. So it was about $14,000 to $16,000 that was to be paid to fix that repair.
Gotcha. So no more triple wides then.
Yeah, and then it damaged my truck, and so I had to pay about $6,000 to fix that damage that it did on my toter. So, and then my friend who was moving that other half of it, because it gets split in half, and then there's a third piece because it's a triple wide. His truck got damaged too. Same thing happened to his. It's too much weight. It did not. It was too much for the truck that he had. So same thing happened. So we ended up having to rent a big semi, almost one of the biggest toters that you just don't have because they're really, really rare to even use. But in this sense, we needed it. We didn't expect this triple wide to be that heavy. So the client was just happy to get the problem fixed. But he wasn't the happiest guy when he found out that this is what was going on to the mobile home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like you said, tuition, right? Tuition.
Oh yeah.
So now I'm assuming we're at the point though where you have the bigger vision, right? You said so that's where you're at. You're buying land now. Have you already started that process, or you're looking, or where are you at in that? And then I think you said you're doing something else too that you incorporated that you saw that they were lacking.
Yeah, that is correct. My bigger vision now, I already have a couple rentals, so I already have a couple homes that are financed. My bigger picture of I've slowly been going in. I have two to three properties right now. They're about less than an acre, and so I have double wides on these properties being rented, and so that's what I'm doing. My bigger picture is that I want more. The more the better, but the numbers have to make sense. Right now, I'm sure you're aware that the land market's pretty high. So the numbers just have to make sense always. So I wait for good deals to pop up before I use my capital and do that.
Gotcha. And then what is the new thing that you're doing that you said that you saw these people were not doing?
So the new service that I've added is that when I get these mobile homes to rent, I realize that these people, like you and I and a lot of people in business, we're really busy people. The whatever ventures that they had, they were really busy people. So they didn't have the time to be actually meeting with the people and showing them the house. Hey, is this somewhere where you're gonna want to stay and be rented to? So that's where I came in, and I said, hey, I have the labor, I have the helper, I have a plan set where I can help you. I'll be the one who markets your mobile home. I'll run the ads. I'll market it. I'll showcase it. I'll take pictures of the mobile home because I know you're lacking time. And so I'll set up the legal contracts in my office. I'll meet with the renter, and before I have them sign and everything runs, I'll run it through you first. I'll send you the file. You give me the green light. We'll go with it. And the way we get paid on that is that we don't get a fee. For the work that we do, we know what we're worth. And so I said, you're not going to give me a little $50-$100 fee for this. I know what I'm worth, and if you need the help, you're going to pay the price because we're good at what we do. And so I told him, the way I'm going to set this up is that I'm going to get a fee every time that they're paying rent. I get a fee from that because I'm also managing the property. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they had no problem with it. I said, okay, I don't care if you're getting $50 to $100 every time they're paying rent. I just want to make sure that the home is taken care of, that they get the background screening, and that you're the one who pretty much just A through Z. All they have to do is just say, hey, send me the email. I like the guy. Go ahead and do it.
Got you. So basically, property management now for mobile homes, then is
Yeah.
what it sounds like through and through, which is very intriguing because I've never heard anyone do that, man. But that's what I love about people like us, right? You follow the money, and you see people will always pay for convenience, myself included. I shop online, and I have for 5 years because I hate going to the fucking grocery store. I will pay $50 extra to not have to do it because I know I'm so sporadic. I'm gonna spend $200 if I go in the store because I can't control myself. So that convenience and keeping myself in check. So I think that's beautiful, man. Like that's amazing. And so now, you've done this and you started making content. What's the bigger goal with that?
So I've always dreamed big, like you and I feel like when you're in business, you always have to dream big, see the bigger picture. And so, like I said, I stumbled across TikTok because my wife was the one who told me, hey, you should put your content out there. I'm sure there's people who, at least one person that's going to care about what you have to say. So I didn't expect for me I haven't blown up yet, but I didn't expect to at least a massive following and the views that I have and people who actually DM me with all kinds of questions. And so I've been blessed in that point. And like Gary Vee says, you just have to put the best version of you, the best content you can, put it out there, and then that's where the value is at. And so that's what I do. And so I wanna transfer on from TikTok my audience to hopefully YouTube, because I'm still working on a YouTube channel. And so that's what I want to do, and then just talk about what I love most, business.
Mm-hmm. No, and I think that's beautiful, man. Like all of it, because you get to. It's a beautiful cycle, right? It brings you deals, it brings you wonderful relationships, and on
Yeah.
top of that, you get to make money and you get to impact people's lives. And there's going to be people that hate. You get the negative comments. I do. People
Oh
always have
yeah.
something to say, whether
Oh
you're
yeah.
doing good or bad. People will always have something to say. So
Always.
I think it's awesome, man. And kudos. I say keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you even, taking the time to do this, because I was so impressed. I wanted people to see that, or my audience, as well, that may, want to get started in this field or just be inspired. I always say, it's easier for us to relate. When we relate with people, then we feel like it's possible, right?
Yeah.
And when people see a young Hispanic guy, right? Me, I'm mixed. I have tattoos. I'm a big dude with a beard, right?
Yeah.
There might be somebody out there that relates with it. And I always joke, like when I got started, it was like Sean Terry, and it's hard for me to relate with an old white guy. And I learned a lot from him, but
Yeah.
we need to see more people like us, young hustlers that are in the business doing it and teaching, man. So
Yeah.
any parting words you may have for people before we get out of here?
Just surround yourself with same-minded people,
Mhm.
people that are actually going to drive you, because sometimes I've always been wired this way, that I go against, I roll with the punches, and this is the way I'm wired. I'm always hustling. But if you haven't developed and grown that inside you yet, but you have your potential to be somebody, just start surrounding yourself with those kind of people. I tell everybody, especially if they're young, the people who are going to invite you out to drink and smoke and party, you're going to have those all day long. But
Mm.
somebody that actually wants to motivate you and invite you over to a seminar or to a business meeting or a simple FaceTime to talk about business, those are the people you want to value, because they care about your future and the potential that you have. I haven't done this alone. My wife has been with me from the start. Whenever I didn't have anything, whenever my company had gone low about 2 to 3 years ago, and she's the one who had to push me and remind me, hey, you're the GOAT. You got to feel like you're the GOAT. And she's the one who started saying, hey, we got to replan, re-strategize. And as a man, I'm not afraid to say that I'm in the place that I am because of my wife. And so if you're single, or if you're planning to have a girlfriend, just make sure she's in the same boat with you, because it's really rare, that sometimes you have a good woman that's actually going to support you, and be there from the start. And so, like I said, she's just been my number one fan through all this.
No, and man, I can relate 1,000%. So I told you I went to that seminar. My wife, she paid $2,500 for this bullshit thing because I couldn't get approved for the 50,000. When I was at my bottom and I hadn't got a deal and I almost gave up on real estate, she pushed me, and she continues to support me. And environment, man, it will make or break you. It's like biological. It's why plants can't grow in certain environments. It's the same with us humans.
Yeah.
And by surrounding yourself with the right people, it's like the biggest life hack, right? And you may not have
Yeah.
as many, but you'll have loyalty, right? It's like 80-20%, the 80-20 rule, I mean. And I think that's just like that's the best way to leave it, man. So I appreciate your time, guys. If you're not already, what is your TikTok, right? Because I know that's where you're most active. That's where I found you.
Yeah, so my TikTok is my first and last name. So Omar Triana, my last name Triana, and then 22. Or you could just put in the search bar the Mobile Home King, and then I should pop up, because that's what people tell me.
Gotcha. No, that's beautiful, man. And I know we'll be doing another one in a year, and you'll be even bigger, and vice versa. So I
Oh
appreciate
yeah.
your time, guys. We're gonna be doing up until the holidays. We'll be back every Wednesday, 7:30 next week. I have a Houston local. My good buddy Cody is going to be on here talking about wholesaling and how they have a huge operation. So come kick it with us. If you guys have questions, feel free to drop it in the group. Omar's in the group now. So if you guys have questions about mobile homes, wholesaling, flipping, anything, that's what we created the group for. Everybody have a blessed night. I appreciate it, my man.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, bro. You'll be blessed.
Thank you.